Hello everyone and welcome to another Game Mechanics Monday on Merlin's Manor. Today we're going to be looking at Tableau building games as well as engine building games. Now engine building might not technically be a game mechanic, but it is one of my favorite type of games, and so I wanted to include it, and a lot of Tableau building games have a bit of engine building to them as well, and so I figured this was a good crossover type of way to deal with a couple different types of mechanics. So let's first of all talk about what is a Tableau building game. Tableau building games where you're going to have different cards that you're going to be playing either onto a board or into your kind of own personal space that are going to give you different benefits as well as victory points and different things like that throughout the game. And so you're going to be trying to build up a city sometimes you're building out like a meadow, sometimes you're doing all kinds of different things like that in order to be able to become stronger, more powerful, or to get points in different ways. And so that's what a Tableau building game is, and it plays right into engine building, because what an engine building game is you start out kind of weak with what you are able to do, and as the game progresses, you get more and more benefits to where you get stronger and stronger throughout the game. And a lot of times, Tableau building games will utilize this as you are putting down cards that are giving you benefits that you're able to use. Maybe it's more production of resources, maybe it's different things that you can use to be able to play other cards, and so on and so forth. And so they kind of work together very well, Tableau building games and engine building games. And what I love best about engine building games is that satisfaction of building that engine to where you go from being able to do very little to be able to get a lot of things done as the game progresses. And so I really enjoy that kind of mechanic, or whatever you want to call that. And so let's get into a few games that do these mechanisms well. And the first one I want to talk about is Terraforming Mars. And I have Ares Expedition here, but I actually really love the base game Terraforming Mars especially. But let's go ahead and they're very similar in the way they play, and especially with the Tableau building and the engine building. And so what you're going to do is you're going to be getting cards like these, and this is of course Ares. Some of them are going to be ones that give you production over the course of time. This one gives you 1 money, 1 plant, and 1 heat resource every time you produce. And so you're going to want to get those out early so that you can get more and more of those types of things. You have some that are action cards, and these are actions that you can take once a generation in the regular game, or once every time the action card is played in Ares. And so you get a bunch of those out. You can be doing a whole lot of extra things, especially in the base game Terraforming Mars, where you can, if you have a bunch of action cards, when everybody else is done with what they can be doing, you may still have a bunch of actions that you can do. And so that's kind of handy there. You have event cards like this, which is like a one-time kind of benefit. They're not as much into the engine building part of it, but they can be very handy as well. And then you have cards like this that give you, other production cards give you titanium, steel. And so those are all handy to be able to help you to be able to do other things in the game. And some of them give you victory points, but the big way you're going to get victory points is through Terraforming Mars, through the different, by building forests with greeneries, by increasing the heat with heat as a resource, and as well as flipping oceans, getting oceans down. And so you're going to want to be working towards that by building up your Tableau in a way that's going to cause a bigger and bigger engine for you. Okay, so the next one I want to look at is Wingspan. Here's Wingspan. And in this game, you are building up your Tableau on a board like this. Well, actually this board. And so you're going to be putting out different birds as you go. And when you start out, here's where this engine building comes in. You start out, you get 1, if you come to this row, you're going to get 1 food. But as you come up here, you get 2 food. Here you can get 3 food. And so as you put your birds in these areas, you're going to be covering up these areas to where in the future you're going to get more resources. Here it is with eggs, you're going to get more egg resources as you go. Here you're going to get more cards to draw as you go. And so you're going to be playing your birds into these different areas in order to be able to get stronger that way. But there's also another way you're going to get stronger by playing your birds. And that is by brown powers such as these. Whenever you activate that row that they're on, you're going to get to take these brown power benefits. Like this one, you spend an egg to get 2 food. Here's one where you discard a fish to be able to tuck a card, which a tuck card is a point. Here is another one where you're going to get some food. Others are going to get food as well. Here's one where you're going to gain a berry and or a worm. And here's one where you are going to be able to, when somebody else does an action, in this case, when another player takes the lay eggs action, you'll be able to lay an egg on another bird with this type of nest. And so by getting those things down early, you're going to be able to take advantage of those. Every time somebody between your turns does that action, you'll get to do something. And with the brown powers, every time you go ahead and you activate one of these rows, you're going to be able to activate every brown power that's on that row. And so you're going to get stronger and stronger with what you're able to do as you go through the game, as you get more birds played into your tableau. And so that's the engine building thing that goes along with it, and I really enjoy how that kind of ramps up as you go along. Another game that's a tableau building as well as somewhat of an engine building is Everdell. Now Everdell is a game where you are playing different woodland creatures and different buildings to try to get more resources to build more, as well as each one gives you victory points. Some are worth more than others. Actually, there are a few that aren't worth any, but you use them for their actions. Yeah, you got some the building cards will allow you to play a animal for free, a certain animal for free that goes with that building. And so you want to get that building down first, and then you can, for free, play an animal without having to pay the resources for it. Some give you resources so you'll be able to play cards without having to go searching out for those resources as much with your workers. And so you want to try and build that up. So that's Everdell, another tableau building, engine building. You're allowed to build 15 different cards into your tableau, and you're just kind of building that off into its own separate space. The next game I want to mention is Duel, or Seven Wonders in general, actually. But here I have Seven Wonders Duel. And this is a game where you are getting different cards. In the regular Seven Wonders, you are doing card drafting, where you're passing around cards. You're choosing one each time that you're going to build. And early on, you want to try and focus on getting some resources out there so that you can build more things for free as the game progresses. If you don't get too much as far as resources early in the game, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble later on. And so you're picking those things to put into your tableau kind of space that are going to give you benefits later. Some are going to give you victory points. And you want to, as the game progresses, you're going to try to build more of those high victory point cards by having the resources previously built so that you can build those things for free or close to free. If you can't build it for free, you're going to have to pay in order to do that. And money is a very limited resource in the game, and so you want to be sure to be using your other resources to do all that. The next one I want to talk about is Splendor. Splendor is kind of a light tableau buildingness to it, but the big thing is you're going to be getting resources along the way. And so in Splendor, you are going to be getting cards like these that are going to count as resources, but you're going to have to pay what's here in this corner. And each turn you're able to get a few of these different types of chips that are going to represent different resources. And these are very limited, as you can see. You won't be able to get enough usually to be able to pay for some of the higher price cards outright. Plus you're going to have to spend a lot of time getting a lot of these chips otherwise. And so what you do is you get some of these. Once you've got this card, you'll have that resource permanently. So you have one of those for the rest of the game towards buying anything. And then so later on, you'll be able to get some of the more expensive cards that cost a bit more resources but give you some victory points. As you can see, this 3 right here, if I can get to it, it's going to require 6 diamonds. You wouldn't be able to get that on its own usually. Going ahead and getting those diamonds, then you can go ahead and afford to get that. And then there's some that are really super expensive. Let's take this 5 right here. It requires 7 diamonds and 3 of the sapphires. And so you wouldn't be able to get that without having built up a tableau in front of you by getting some of these weaker, cheaper cards in order to then be able to pay for the stronger cards that are going to give you victory points. The final game I want to talk about is Meadow. And in Meadow, you are going to be playing cards like these down into your tableau. This one isn't worth any victory points, but it does give you this frog symbol and this desert symbol, which is going to be important for playing other cards later. And so you play that into your tableau like that, and then you'd be able to play other cards, not the ones I have in my hand right here. So this one here is another one. It's free to play, but it doesn't give you victory points, but it gives you yet another habitat that you can have, as well as a tree symbol there. And then we've got ones like these, which you'd have to play on something else, and it has a requirement here that you have a house to play it on, or at the very least a house in this case, or a house to play it next to, actually, because that's what the arrow there means. And so but it's going to give you a fence. Of course, I couldn't play that yet because I don't have that anything to do that. But I'm just kind of giving you a demonstration here. This one, you're going to have 2 of those habitats there, the mountain habitats. And that's going to give you one of those flowers right there. This one here is one of later cards. It's going to be harder to accomplish. It requires that you have 2 of those leaf habitats, 1 tree, and 1 paw print. And you'd have to play it on one of these things, but you only have to play it on one of them, but you have to have all 4 of them, or you have to discard a couple cards for each one that you don't have of. And so you're going to want to try and get a lot of different symbols. You can build out to 10 different, a width of 10. And so you want to kind of build that out slowly, but you want to kind of be careful about, you don't want to focus too much on these 0-point cards, but at the same time you need them to be able to get more different types of cards. It's a very interesting decision process there as to whether you build out more, whether you just focus on building where you can already build. But you want to get those cards that are worth more victory points. Like this one right here is worth 4 victory points down there you see in the bottom. And this one here is only worth 1. And so you have to kind of balance what's going to give you symbols as well as what's going to give you those more victory points, as well as there's different bonuses you can pick up by having certain symbols. And that's basically the gist of the Tableau building part of that, as well as the subtle engine building there as far as getting those different symbols that you're going to be needing. So these are 5 games that do Tableau and or engine building well. And so I encourage you to check these games out. I love all these games. And I'll catch you in the next video.